Hi everyone, it is Tiffany of Clarity, Confidence, Courage, Women's Empowerment. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. Definitely hit that subscribe button and like and share these videos. Now, if you are a follower, thank you so much. Continue to follow, continue to like, and continue to share all these amazing nuggets of wisdom with other women that you know. Now let's deep dive into the subject of defensiveness. Now, the reason I bring this up is because we have all been there. We have all been in situations where we kind of put on the defense, where we feel like we're being threatened or overly criticized, and we want to defend ourselves. Ladies, I have been there myself. There have been times where I have definitely been defensive and definitely been overly sensitive. The issue is that when you are always on the defense or always being overly sensitive, people feel like they can't be authentic and real with you. They can't tell you how they actually feel. They can't be their authentic, real selves because every single thing that they say, you get defensive or offended, or you feel like they are coming at you or being disrespectful. But here's the thing, ladies, every argument, disagreement, or just a thought that a person has that you don't actually necessarily agree with does not necessarily mean that they're trying to attack you or trying to, hurt you in some way. So I wanted to do this video because I want to help women out there who may have realized that they are very defensive, or they may have realized they're going through a period in their lives where they are overly sensitive and they don't know why. Trust me, been there, and I had to go through this myself. So stay tuned while we talk about what defensiveness is, what the symptoms of defensiveness may be, and how you can get through it. All right, let's deep dive in. So defensiveness is this concept of having to constantly defend yourself against a perceived threat, whether it's real or it's not real. You may feel like the person is criticizing you, or a group is giving you constantly negative feedback. You may feel feelings of anger or hurt or shame or guilt, or it may send you into anxiety or panic or even depression. So this idea of defensiveness is really a mechanism for you making sure that you are constantly defending yourself. And here's the thing, ladies, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself if you are under a real attack. But when you are overly defensive and overly sensitive, it may be a circumstance where it's not the people around you, it's not the group, it's not the world. It really is something going on with you, because every single thing seems to trigger your defense mechanism. Everything that happens or everything that someone says seems to set you off or put you on edge or make you feel like they're coming at you or attacking you. Now, in reality, we know that everyone is not out to get us and everyone is not trying to harm us. So why is it that you may constantly feel like they are, like you must be on the defense? So that is the concept of defensiveness. Now, I want to give you some signs and some symptoms for those of you who are like, Tiffany, I'm not quite sure if that's me. Here are some signs and some symptoms of defensiveness. The first thing a lot of people that are defensive do, they go on the attack. When someone comes at them with a situation or an issue, they automatically get off topic and they turn the blame on someone or something else. So instead of acknowledging that, okay, there is an issue, I think I know what's going on, they immediately go on the attack and say, nope, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Or no, it's not my fault, it's their fault. Or no, you're always blaming me, but here's the problem, I'm not the one to blame. You immediately go on the attack instead of listening to what the person has to say and really reflecting and seeing if there's any validity in the situation. The second thing you may be doing when you get defensive, you may bring up a person's past when they come at you and confront you about a situation or something that you don't like. And that situation that happened in the past may have nothing to do with the current situation. So for example, if someone comes to you and say, hey, you left this on the floor, or you left, this on the stove, or you left the dishes in the sink, you may say, well, in the past, you've done that too. You've left stuff on the stove. You've left dishes in the sink. Instead of just recognizing in that moment that they're talking about what is currently going on with you leaving dishes in the sink. So again, the second way to know if you are exhibiting defensive behavior is if you get off topic of what's currently going on and you try to bring up something that the other person did from their past. Another thing that may show defensive behavior is when you try to have a superiority complex over a person. So for example, if a younger colleague or junior associate that you work with says to you, hey, I looked at the numbers and I don't think they're quite right. We may need to look at them again. Instead of you really recognizing what they're saying and being willing to look at the numbers or take a look at the issue, you immediately jump in the defense and say, no, I've been here long enough. I know the numbers are right. I've done this many times before. I have seniority. I know what I'm doing. You immediately get offended that a person who is younger than you or junior associate has brought up a situation in which you may made a mistake. So some people, when they get on the defense, they have a superiority complex. There's no way that you can know more than me because I am fill in the blank. And lastly, it's possible that they may turn into an innocent victim. So again, this is another defensiveness tactic where when you're talking to a person, they may acknowledge the situation, but then they have a complete meltdown. They start to cry. They start to bring up things that happened when they were kids as to why they're the victim and why things are happening to them. So for example, you may be talking to a friend and you may say, you did this the other day and it kind of bothered me and I really just wanted to talk about it. And they may start to have a fit. Oh, you always say this about me and don't you know what I'm going through? And don't you know my life is in trouble? And don't you know when I was a kid, this happened to me? And I know that blah, 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 blah. And they keep going on and they literally have a meltdown. So instead of you being able to be genuine and authentic with your feelings and know that they're going to listen to you and you are all going to have a conversation, they immediately turn into the victim. They cry, they moan, and before you know it, you're consoling them and you're telling them it's going to be okay. And all the information that you wanted to convey to them is gone. The whole conversation has totally turned into all the attention being on them. That is yet another defensiveness tactic. Now, if you're wondering, well, Tiffany, yes, I think I might be defensive, but why? Why am I so defensive? Or why am I overly sensitive? Well, defensiveness or oversensitivity could stem from a situation from past trauma or abuse. So if you have gone through a very challenging event when you were younger, there's a possibility that any little thing can trigger you and bring back all those memories and make you feel like you're going through that again. So for example, if you were in an abusive relationship with a former partner and you get into a new romantic relationship with someone new, it could be that they, raise their voice or they blame you for something, or they might shout one time at you and you totally shut down. You totally lose it because there's a possibility that that incident triggers all the memories of the person you experienced in the past. So again, this is just an example of how past trauma or past hurt can put you in a place of defensiveness. The same thing with a work environment. If you have worked in a very toxic environment and then you come to a new workplace, you may have your guard up. You may not talk to people. You may not want to be friendly because you have experienced situations in your past work environment where you were trying to be friendly with people and they were mean-spirited or they mistreated you. So there are valid reasons of why sometimes people are defensive or very sensitive. However, you have to be willing to understand how to separate what happened to you in the past from what is going on with you currently in your present. So how do you overcome defensiveness? Well, the first thing you want to do is in a given moment or when you've had an experience, you want to go ahead and question your feelings, question your emotions, and ask them, is this something valid for me to be offended by? Or is this just something that's triggering a past memory? So be willing to question yourself. Be willing to question your emotions. Be willing to kind of take a breath and ask yourself, am I being overly sensitive, or am my feelings valid in the fact that this person in this current moment is being highly disrespectful, or they're being intentionally mean, or whatever it may be. So take a moment and just kind of reflect and quickly ask yourself, okay, is this valid? What I believe or what I perceive, is it real? Or am I just being overly sensitive? Be willing to question your emotions. The second thing you want to do is listen to what the person has to say. If you're in a confrontational situation where a person is confronting you or they may have a disagreement with you, listen without interruption and truly listen. Don't listen in order to come up with points of how you're going to defend yourself. but just listen to what they are saying and allow it to roll over you. And you don't have to necessarily respond or react in that moment. If you need time to think about what they said, then say that. Say, I heard what you had to say and I really was listening, but I think I'm going to need time to reflect on this before I can give you a response, because I want to make sure that I gather my thoughts really to understand what it is you're saying. There's nothing wrong with that. And if the person wants a reaction in that moment, then they just really want an argument. And that is not, just let them know that's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to argue with you. I just need time to gather my thoughts. There is nothing wrong with giving yourself time to think about what they said and then respond. Another way to help you with defensiveness is get to the root of the problem. If you know every situation you have, you're starting to be overly sensitive or you're starting to be defensive a lot, then ask yourself during a quiet time, why am I so defensive? Why am I being overly sensitive? Is it a specific person I'm being overly sensitive with? Is it a specific group of people that I'm being overly defensive with? Is it a specific situation that when I get myself in, that's when I get overly defensive? And if you've narrowed it down when, where, and how you're being overly defensive, start to think back at times in your life when you felt those same feelings, when you felt like you were being bullied, or you felt like you were being, manipulated, or you felt like you were being abused, because your brain is probably making the connection. And that's why you're getting so emotionally engaged in what may seem to be a simple conversation. So really get to the root of the problem and think back. Have you had past trauma that is currently making you feel very defensive in your present life? Another way to overcome defensiveness is focus on the solution rather than the actual problem. Focus on what is the solution to this. If someone comes to you and they're angry and they're saying, this is your fault and you did this, and let them vent and then say, well, I acknowledge your emotion, but let's think about what we can do to get to the solution. I don't believe that it's my fault. However, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you on whose fault and who did what. Let's just get back to the problem and see how we can come up with a solution so we can get it done quickly. So try to stay calm, diffuse the situation, and keep your focus on the solution, which really is the prize. Now, you can always go back to that person and have a separate conversation, especially if you're in an emergency situation, and say, I really felt offended, or the way you said something to me, I didn't appreciate, because it's okay to have boundaries and let people know I didn't like the way you said it. However, what they said may have some validity. It's just how they came across to you that may have been offensive. And lastly, seek therapy or counseling. There are people who the defensiveness or the oversensitivity is indicative of some type of mental health issue. Maybe they have borderline personality disorder. Maybe they're a narcissist. Maybe they're schizophrenic. Maybe they're bipolar. Maybe they're going through some type of eating disorder or whatever it may be. And part of the defensiveness is the paranoia that comes with their mental health issue or comes with their sickness. So understand that it may be a situation where you may have a mental health disorder, or you may just have gone through so much trauma when you were younger, you are feeling the weight of it. So be willing to seek therapy or counseling if you feel like you're overly sensitive or if you're constantly on the defense. So that's it for me, everyone. I really wanted to talk about how to overcome defensiveness by really digging into what it looks like, where it may come from, and how you can start to overcome it slowly and daily. And trust me, we have all been there. It just takes time to recognize some of your past traumas, some of your past hurts that may be coming up and ruining your present life. If you like this video, definitely give me a shout out in the comments, give me a thumbs up emoji, and just let me know which tips really hit home for you and what you may be using in your life. I hope you have a fabulous day, and as always, make sure you share this video, like, and subscribe to my channel. Every time you subscribe, it pushes me up in the algorithm so that I can help more women just like you live a life that brings them joy. All right, I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.